Okay, we're recording. Ready? All right.
Clink.
Congratulations, Everett.
Hey, congratulations to you.
Clink, clink. Thank you.
Clink. All right, we clinked.
And congratulations to you, Everett.
Thank you very much.
So exciting.
Pete, I didn't even recognize you.
I know.
I
I got
so
Gray.
excited.
I got Gray, my
Hey.
friend.
Great to see you.
I could not pass up the opportunity when I saw the post today,
Oh, that's great.
and that there was a happy hour to say congratulations. I am
Yes.
unbelievably happy and thrilled and proud of you.
Well, you were a part of it.
I just got to play the reporter roles in the trailer and say, available at Blydyn Square Books.
Well,
And you can find books are sold.
20-something years.
We should put that. We should re-release that. Put it out on social media again because it's been a while.
It's a great trailer.
Yeah, and I don't think it's up on the website because it was originally, but I think when they redid it, it never made it back up. So I'll have to go back up and let me write. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. There's this new author, an Irish author, who wrote a book called Acts of Desperation, and this is in Entertainment Weekly. All right, it says that she's already being called the next normal people, and who wouldn't want to be compared to Sally Rooney's 2019 sensation, that lit world unicorn whose minimalist prose and mad romance spawned its own cottage industry. From uncountable Halloween costumes, bangs, gold chain, mournful gaze, to last spring's rapturously received screen adaptation on Hulu. So can you believe it? Everyone else thinks it's awesome.
Well, then
it must be
taste.
Good. Then it must be good. Yeah, because everybody has great taste.
Yes, it's rapturous.
Okay, come on. That's all
not
kinds of
even a real
made
word.
up. Yeah, you can't just
it's
use
all the hype.
random words. I know
It's all the rage.
and I don't get it. I mean, are these people paying money for people to say these nice things? Because frankly,
think
they
no.
have to be. They have
I
to
think
be, or
once-
else everybody's dumb.
No, I
Which
think
is
what
possible
happens,
too.
Once you push it past the breakers, once you get it, once people say this is an amazing book,
And then
you-
they assume
you
it's good, and they all
actually wanna
I agree.
say, oh, I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah, you want to be part of it.
No,
Yeah.
I loved it because it was, This was our Pete. This was our book for our book club last week. That's the context, and they hated it. It was
Yeah.
normal people, and I loved it.
I thought it should have been called boring people.
Yeah, they called it boring people, and I thought it was just so magnificent. And so anyway, we had a bit of a debate, and I found this. I read this review by this new author, this Irish author. And so I'm like, oh, I got to read this to Tara and Everett because they'll get a laugh. Halloween costumes, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
Going as what from this?
I think they're going as Sally Rooney because Sally Rooney has like bangs. It says bangs, gold chain, mournful gaze. Is that a Halloween costume? Mournful gaze? I don't know.
And the
gold chain
Halloween
piece.
costume.
I don't remember the gold chain in the story, if there was one. I don't know. So anyway,
Christine,
it was
I don't
funny.
know if we introduced you. Pete is a voice actor, and he did the voice of the trailer. He also did. You did you did the other two trailers, right? You did that one, and then you did the Christmas promo, right, Pete?
Yes, there was a Christmas one, and then I did the one that was that didn't land well through international translation with the what's it called? It's not a white pad sketch, but
You did the animation one. Yeah,
Yes.
we did the animation. Yeah, and it was done by in a third world kind of thing, and it didn't really go over that well.
right. I think they put the words into Google Translate, and what they drew was not exactly
Right. It was very, very bizarre.
But Tara, if you had mentioned putting that back on the website, if you want to redo that, if there's anything that needs to be updated, I mean, Everett, just send me a message. Let me know. It's all on me. I will record anything you need for whatever you need.
I think it's still good, don't you? I haven't watched it in a while.
I can't think of anything. I mean, it's pretty basic, but Pete does like 3 different voices, I think.
No.
He does the narration, and he does the two reporters in the background, and
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was awesome. I'm gonna
Actually,
put
to
it.
be honest with you, I think if we were to redo it, there was a couple of the visual stuff that probably would need to be changed more than the voice stuff. I thought the voice stuff was right on.
Well, and your son has more experience than most people when it comes to video editing and whatnot. He could probably spice that up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. He's amazing at that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were working on the documentary, it's funny because I'd be going, "Can we do something like?" And he'd go, "You mean like this?" Oh, yes, exactly like that.
Funny.
How are you? I see your face.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, there we go. Now I recognize you. I didn't recognize the thumbnail of you.
Ah, okay. I'm doing well. It's nice to see you all again.
Nice to see you.
Well, Pete, meet Carrie. She's working on a book that we might end up doing, and Pete did the voiceover work for one of our book trailers, Everett's book, back when the book first came out. And I don't know if you saw on we had it on social media today, but today we got the official announcement that Matthew Modine is going to be directing and starring in the movie based on Everett's book.
Wow.
So that's like our big. So we're kind of celebrating that. So
that's very cool.
And what's so hard, I was just telling my wife, what's so hard is we've thought we had to keep this a secret. So it's almost like it was a lie. It's almost like, that we're making this up. It's almost like someone's going to come up and go, Walker Roe really isn't your best friend. He really doesn't come to your house all the time. You're making that up. So the fact that we could share it today, it's almost like it started today.
Yeah.
It's like that's exactly how it feels. It just started today. But we've known for a while, we just couldn't tell anybody, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because this is not the first big name that has been tossed around. Like I was telling Pete earlier, from 5 years ago when this first started happening till now, there have been a lot of names that have been like, oh, they're interested, and like we'd be like, yeah, and then it would just not happen. So this is the first time that there's contracts and everything is official,
And what the thing with that was Brian was trying to take and he was excited about it, and he knew people and he knew how to get to their agents and that sort of thing. And that's when the name I signed books to people, to names you wouldn't believe, that they went to. Once Matthew got in the driver's seat, it sort of changed because he just basically said, I want to direct, I want to do this. And they have calls with him every Sunday and everything. Once he got into the driver's seat, I'm going to do this, I'm passionate about it. And he asked to play the part of Walker. He was just going to direct, and he was going to play the part of Bugby. But then he simply believed that I need to play this part. That's when things really just started to get real. And we've got agreements and we've got contracts and we've got all that, but we still didn't feel that we could share it until I was talking to Brian today. He goes, absolutely share it. Go nuts.
That's great. Wasn't Shia LaBeouf going to play Walker originally? Maybe
he was talking to them, and I think there were some personal issues. People were sending me some stuff, so I don't think that's there's some other people that they're talking to play Dutch and to play
we're not
but we're not but we don't know we don't know where that's going to fall out, because it also has to be, I guess Matthew Modine, I'm getting this secondhand, but I guess Matthew Modine really wants to choose the people, not that would only be that role, but that he really wants to work with, and then you got to make the schedule fit, because he's really busy right now, and August is his block. So he wants to start filming in August. So you got to find the right people that you want to work with that are available for that 2-month period. Now you know officially everything I know about making a movie. That's it.
The way you were describing it sounded almost like a pregnancy. You don't really want to say anything for the first couple of months because you don't know
what's going to happen. Right. You don't know what's going to happen.
So you're like real quiet and kind of happy, but you can't share. And then you can share.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I was thinking that if when you build a house, right, you're going to build a house. So you buy the land and you tell everyone, I bought the land. And then you dig the foundation and you go, here's the pictures of the foundation. And then you go, hey, we just put the structure up. Oh my gosh, we've got the walls in. What you don't do is you don't go, oh, here's my house that we built from scratch over the last year and I never told you. But that's exactly what we were doing. We thought that that's what we had to do.
Yeah. That's okay.
But it's,
Yeah.
it to be able to share it makes it real. Like I said, it's such a big thing to try to keep, you know, it's such a huge thing to try to keep. Every writer dreams about this, and we worked hard to make this happen, and we got the right guy, we got the right producer. He's just a phenomenal guy, and he believed in it, and he went on, and it took a long time. And as Brian Esquivel says, who's the producer for this, he goes, this could have gone many, many ways. He goes, and I'm really excited the way that it is going. So
I have a question for you.
yes, sir.
This has been 5 years in the making.
The book came out 5 years, yeah, and we
6
started
years.
talking to
6
them.
years for the
6
book.
years,
Fuck,
okay,
yeah.
okay, so
And-
6 years, yep.
So the film rights, and whether that was Brian or whoever bought that, like you said, it's been through a variety of things, and you want to get excited about it. You know, you put in you dug the hole, you built the foundation, and then the foundation collapsed, and then you had to re-pour the foundation.
Yep.
And right now, I can tell you're on top of the world, as
Yep.
you should be, you should be, because it's finally. Come on in. We're about to have a housewarming party. We've just got a few
Right.
finishing touches to put on this. What was the emotional ride like? Were you at this point, as excited as you are tonight, at any point in the last 5 years? And how bad did you fall the first time? And then if there was a second time, was it less of a fall? How did you manage the emotions of that when it didn't work?
And there were many of those, but I never looked at it as a fall. I looked at it as, how do I keep this going? We got another producer involved that I got involved because things were stalling out with Brian, and I was very open, you know, with him, and because I just felt like, what can I do to just push this a little further, just a little further. And so for all this time, there's always been this could fail tomorrow. But I never felt that it was over. I always felt that there was one thing I can do. If I can get this guy to take my call, if I can get Brian and this guy together, if I can get this guy. So my job was to just keep it moving. And there were times when it was pretty low that I thought, man, you're just bury it. But I just couldn't let it go. I don't know why. I think just because I don't think it was anything on me. I don't think I deserved it. I don't think it was any. I just think I thought that was my job. My job, if there's life in this thing, to keep it moving just a little bit. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I just kept doing that. And ironically, this other producer we've got on that it just didn't fit. And he and Brian just didn't fit. But that was the spark. Brian will tell you that's what reignited it again. That's what ignited the whole thing, because he was getting excited about the stuff that this guy was doing. He didn't agree with it, but he was just getting excited, making calls. And that's where he got involved in this other producer who got Matthew Modine involved. So to answer your question, it was very frustrating times, but I never felt it was over. I felt, you got a job to do today. You got to move this 6 inches from here to here. That's all you have to do. Just get it moving from there to there. So for 5-6 years, that's all I did, was just keep it moving without cheesing the people off that know what they're talking about. And I made every flipping mistake. I mean, Brian is a saint. I was having movie posters made. We didn't have a screenplay yet. I was having reporters contact him and doing articles. We didn't have a storyline yet. We didn't have anything yet. He's an amazing guy, because everything you can do wrong, I did wrong.
What are the consequences for doing that wrong? Did you get your hand slapped?
No, I think if I teamed up with a different producer, he would have said, he could have easily said, look, pal, you're a little too high maintenance for me. You just need to calm down, and I don't have the time for this. But Brian really believed in it, and we liked each other. He just thought I was an idiot, So I think that was part of it. It was just we had some mutual respect for each other. I tried to stay out of his way, but I absolutely did everything possibly wrong that you could, I'm trying to put curtains up and the wall isn't up yet. And I'm trying, that's the kind of stuff I was doing.
For a guy who's an author with another full-time job with, as I recall, an engineering background, how, and you said this was your job the last 5 years. How does an author adjust from writing and being creative to doing what you just described as your job for the last 5 years? You think every author can make that transition?
I think I'm probably a better relationship deal maker guy than I am a writer. I think that if the book was just there by itself, and didn't have the person going out making these calls and doing this stuff, and I mean, we had this other the most fun part of when this other producer was involved, we have phone calls 3 o'clock in the morning, talking about, hey, can you change this? Can you change this? I had this one Russian producer call me going, I found a DeLorean, and all that stuff was just very, very excited. So you got to be, and I remember she goes, I have these notes. Can you get back it to me in a week? I got them back to her in 8 hours because I wanted to keep pushing it. So I think if the book itself was just the book itself, but you didn't have this maniac that just wanted, and plus the fact Tara took a chance on me. I mean, I was one of her first authors. So I've constantly for 5 years thought, I will pay her back one of these days. I will pay her back. So it wasn't just me. It was a fact. I owe her something, and I've just got to keep pushing this and pushing this and pushing this. And I don't think it would have happened if I were obeying the rules and did what an intelligent person that understands how the movie business works. I don't think it ever would have happened.
If you had listened to me, we wouldn't be here now, because every time you would contact Brian, I'd be like, just leave him alone. Just leave him alone.
Right.
Because I was so afraid, because this came out of nowhere. They found the book through was this through the prison program or
this
something?
was through the prison thing.
Such a weird roundabout way that they even found it. And it was so a stumble upon kind of thing that it shouldn't have happened by any logical stretch. And we, I'm an editor. I can fix up your writing just fine, but I have no idea how to do the other stuff in publishing. I don't know how to approach movie people. I don't know how to sell rights. So when this kind of fell into our laps, I was kind of like, okay, let's just let it be and just let them do their thing, and kind of, and every time Everett would send an email or anything, I'd be like, no, don't blow it. So
and what's interesting about that, and it goes into the question that you had, Pete, is there's a point when things would stall, and Brian will tell you that there were times when it stalled, where the executive producers that he works with, they want to go try something else, and it was just stalled. In my mind, I'm going, if I leave Brian alone, I still have a movie deal. If I call him and he goes, look, we're going to go choose something else, then it's blown. So there would be times when I would not try, but I knew if I just call and say, hey, are we getting anything? It didn't happen. So I went out and found a finance guy. The finance guy, turned out to be a lunatic, but at least I had something to do. Hey, Brian, I found this for you. What else can I do for you? Well, I'll go find this producer guy. I think he can help. What else can I do for you? And that, I think that kept it going, and that made it over that hump where when these people just didn't have the longevity to stay, he said, okay, we got it spinning again, and I think this is going in a good direction. And then he got the other producer involved, and then he got Matthew Modine involved, and all that stuff. So it was just constantly going. you want coffee? I'll go get coffee. It wasn't just what can you do? Tell me something. I constantly had to find something tangible to do. And a lot of the times those tangible things were stupid things that shouldn't be done. But at least I was getting something tangible to him, and that was the goal.
And Tara, this is your event, and the old interviewer from my broadcasting days is coming back. So I didn't mean to hijack that with questions.
No, that's great. And we never know what to talk about when we do these, and we always just kind of end up, and if there aren't any, if there's not anybody here who's a lot of, sometimes we've only been doing it since what, December maybe. A lot of the times it'll just be like the Blydyn Square people who, current or future authors, and we kind of end up just talking about work, which is really boring. So it's always better to have other people on, to have, that's the whole point. If you guys have questions or anything that you're interested in, we want.
Okay, then Everett, how do you take two words that you just used about yourself, maniac, and about the finance guy, lunatic?
Yeah.
There's, and I guess you kind of explained this. I just want to point out that there, over 5 years, maniac and lunatic and relentless and not leaving Brian alone, there are a million reasons that this should have imploded.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
What would you, other than telling an upcoming author or somebody with a project that is trying to take that next step, other than telling them be a maniac, what's the bottom line? What's the elevator pitch that you tell somebody? Is it be helpfully relentless? Is that the takeaway?
I think the one thing that you just said that's interesting is the word. I think I said I was in the lunatic, and the other producer, I think, was a maniac. Is that the words that I used?
I think the finance guy was the lunatic.
Yeah.
All right, so lunatic. So the reason the finance guy was a lunatic, he's very, very good at what he did. He believed in the project, but he thought first of all, he was a very young guy. And I've done a couple of these movies, and I did all these wonderful things in this other country, and I know what I'm doing. And you got a youth issue. We need to do this, and we need to strain this down and turn it into this, and I will get it done cheaply, and I will get it done, fast. And I thought that's great, and I just went on and until I realized that's not what I want. And then finally, these two guys just couldn't get along, and I'm so glad that they couldn't get along. And then it just started. It actually was over the hump. But I don't think there's any value in me calling Pete every day and go, Pete, what do you got? You got anything? Pete, you got anything? Pete, you got anything? That there's no value in there. But there is value in saying, hey Pete, look at this movie poster. Hey Pete, I just talked to this guy that does this. Hey Pete, we're just doing a promotion for the book over at this restaurant, the same restaurant that's in the novel. There is value in that, but there's no value in, did you sell it today? Did you sell it today? Did you sell it today? Right.
Well, that was the thing. You were doing a lot of stuff to sell your book. So it gave you things to kind of keep him updated about that weren't out of, they weren't coming out of left field. It wasn't like Everett was just calling him and being a pest. He was saying, okay, we're doing this and this and this, just to, throw it out there to see how it would relate. So yeah, I mean, of course, at the same time, I always see the dark side. Me, I'm always like, so it's just like every time I would hear anything, I'd be a little cringing, just like, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. And,
Yeah.
So, and even now I'm excited, but at the same time, there's a little part of my brain that's still going, believe it when you see it. Believe it when you see it.
Yeah. And if I let myself go there, they'll go there. Because the odds of going from the outside into this protected world are astronomically small. But we've got some champions in there, and some champions that believe in it. The fact Brian's never not, he didn't stop believing it, and the fact that Matthew Modine, who was set up to play to direct and play just one of the smaller roles, to to go to these other producers and say, you know what, I can't get this out of my head. I really think I need to play this lead role. That says a lot. That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. I mean, because if you want to direct this, then you have to have some faith. But the fact that you feel something with that character, I have no words. I mean, I'm just gobsmacked at that. That's incredible.
So Tara, obviously you said that you were a little surprised and you were ill-equipped when the offer for the movie rights came in. Tell me, obviously this isn't part of what you're looking for with Blydyn Square Books. I mean, you're not looking for a person or a book that you hope to turn into a movie or movie rights. So, I mean, how is it? What did you expect with one of your first authors, Everett, and then compared to how it turned out? And has it changed what you look for now?
Good point. Okay, yes. Like when I first did the first Everett's book, and there were two others, I was definitely naive going in. I really thought they were just going to take off. I didn't think it was going to be, I didn't think they'd be on the New York Times bestseller list or anything, but I thought that we'd sell a fair amount. I thought that it would be fairly good sales, and I was really gung-ho, and that didn't happen. I mean, Everett's book by far was selling the best because he works it. Everett is a publisher's dream come true. He's out there and he's, setting out press releases, and he's doing social media. He's setting up, book signings. So he's, exactly what I was, and I didn't know how to do any of that stuff because, my experience is all on the editorial side. I have no idea about the sales side of things. So I very naively thought the sales would kind of take care of themselves once we put it out there. I thought we had a good quality product and that's all you needed because, in theory, that should be true. But so I was just kind of, when that didn't happen, and we put the first books out in March of 2015, by that summer, I remember sitting here, I had just moved, and I was sitting here, and I had my Blydyn Square Books banner hanging over on the other wall, and I looked over it, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I've even thought about Blydyn Square Books in like a month. And like, I had gotten that disheartened that I felt like I was just kind of out of the game. You know what I mean? Like I was just going to kind of let it die. And then I said, okay, I can't just let it die. It's only been a couple of months, let me, and like little by little, we started doing some other things. And then that was probably August or September. And in November, we got this email about the movie. And it just came out of nowhere. And I, of course, Everett, you remember, like I thought it was a scam because we get a lot of scammers contacting us. You know what I mean? We'll get people saying, I want to buy 10,000 copies of your book. And all you have to do is arrange for the shipping, but you'll have to pay the shipping in advance, and it's going to Dubai, and this will cost you only $75,000.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of this sort of thing. So when I first heard this, that was my initial instinct, was scam. But then they didn't want any money from us or anything, so I said, all right. And yeah, and it wasn't like they were saying, here's $1 million up front. It was just let us have the rights and we'll see where this goes, and we'll talk money later. And so I was like, what do we got to lose? It's not like we have any idea how to approach a different producer and say, can you give us a better offer? It was right. Like, it wasn't like we had any possibility of doing that. So we signed on, and just, but it was always, for me, it was, this is never going to happen. Don't get excited. And I was always trying to like temper Everett's enthusiasm because I've been on this roller coaster for too long now, it's up and down and up and down. So always I'm just kind of like, not going to happen. And I'm going to hope to be pleasantly surprised if it does, Yeah. So, but it's been, each development feels a little bit more like, I think this might actually happen. And, now that we have actual contracts and there's been money amounts talked about and things like this, and we know what's going on, like, it feels like it might happen. And so I'm trying to still maintain my normal pessimistic, never going to happen
Let me ask you
And-
something. How did this come to in the first place to your like email about like, in other words, who found the book?
So
That was then-
the book was used in a prison program to teach inmates how to write.
Got it.
The program was this lady whose father was a sociology professor in the University of Dallas. And she went to speak to him. She went to spend the weekend with her father, and she had the book, and he read it in a night. And he said, why don't they make movies like this? So this guy had no background in films whatsoever, and he created a production company like in a week with some of his professor friends. Then his son became ill. He really believed in it, and he went out and found Brian and basically said, read this book. If you like this book, I'll give you my company, and my company has the rights to this book. And Brian read it and said, I get it. I see the value. And there was I don't know what happened in the background, but and then Brian took, and then the rest is history.
Okay, so how did that get in the hands of a prison? How'd that happen?
No idea.
We have no idea.
No idea.
Okay. So Everett, I think that, I don't know what my contract says, right? But I think I give you a percentage of each book if you could help me sell mine.
There's a lot of weird, I mean, there's stuff that I'll take credit for. I've been able to do some, I think the one thing that you asked, Pete, that, you know, as far as to other writers that I'm really good at is I can create relationships with people. And there was a phrase I heard that said, your net worth is your network. Well, through Cecils and solely through Cecils, I'm good friends with a guy that owns the Belmar now. I'm friends with the people in the Broome County Film Department. And the lady who taught Cecils in Binghamton High School through Cecils, that's my network now. Because I didn't want them to go and do these things for me. I just, you like this and I like this, and now you're part of my family. So I think that's part of it. The people who just go buy my book are just insane. I mean, it just doesn't, why? But to connect these people and want them for you to be successful, that's what the real key is. I have a really small network, but they would do anything to promote this book and other books I've wrote because they believe in them.
And that's another thing. It's like, I think working with Everett has kind of spoiled me, because going into this, 6 years ago when we published the books, I really didn't know what was the author's responsibility, what was my responsibility. And Everett kind of just boom, like took off and was doing all the stuff. And so it's kind of like, oh, that's what the author does. And I mean, later I did find out that, especially with a small press, that is what the author does, that there's not a whole lot. I mean, obviously I should have some sort, there should be some sort of marketing, which we've figured out somewhat since then. But because Everett was doing so much and seemed to really know what he was doing, it really spoiled me. And so then when subsequent authors were doing little to nothing, I was kind of like, why aren't you helping? Like Everett did all this on his own. And even when I was kind of like laying it on a plate for them, they were just kind of like, not like, in fact, one author, I mean, I won't name any names, but once their book came out, basically said to me, thanks for making my dream come true, getting my name on a book, bye. And just disappeared. And it was kind of like, okay, like I anticipated more help. And that's why since then we've set up all kinds of things, like Christine knows, like we have a spreadsheet where you're supposed to be tracking what we're doing so that we can kind of all learn from each other and figure out what's working and what's not. And we're trying to be more integrated as a company and all working together so that we do a better job with the marketing, because it's really not easy, especially when it's the blind leading the blind here. We've got we have no idea what we're doing. So I think I feel like the fact that we've managed all this with so little, I mean, I have tons of editorial experience, but zero and any other experience. The fact that we've even gotten this far is really kind of cool, you know?
It reminds me of the first Zoom call we had with Brian, when the three of us, and you could tell how real this guy is, because this is actually the very beginning of the pandemic. I was on vacation, and so we got this thing to get the new contract together. And the first thing he said, I just want to hug you guys. He goes, I wish I could hug you guys, because he was on this journey with us, and he knew that we had gone over a serious hump, and we were on the way down the hill. And he just, that just said it all. I want to hug you guys, because it's not like Brian works for Tara and I work for Tara and Tara. This is it. We all want the same thing. And I think that's just finding people that want the same thing and connecting with them.
From a guy who used to get at least 100 press releases a week and at least 50 to 70 review copies. I mean, I've stocked libraries in small towns from giving away cases and cases of books. And I realize that's not as popular now. I'm talking about 90s through probably 2010, before there was a lot of digital. Very rarely would I book an author interview. So for any help, Christine, on selling the book, yes, you have to do your own publicity. You have to be the one and only marketing machine behind it. But bury the fact that you're the author and that you have a book. That's not the key. When you want to Zoom with a TV station, when you want to be interviewed, when you want to appear anywhere, that is not the highlight of this. Figure out what you're an expert at. Everybody wants an expert in something based on the news today. Now that kids are starting to get back to school, studies are showing that their reading skills have gone down. How can we improve reading skills? Well, we have expert Christine here to teach us how to do that. And then you get interviewed on how, for middle schoolers, it actually can be beneficial to read to them, or flip it and have them read to you for 5 minutes a night. And it's an engaging 3-4 minutes. And you say, wow, that's great information. Christine, thanks so much for joining us on Zoom, which, by the way, is a wonderful blessing for marketing. The pandemic has been a wonderful blessing. So to be on the top TV station in Cleveland, you do not have to be anywhere near Cleveland. A year ago, you had to be. Now, everybody expects it to be on Zoom. You have that nice, engaging conversation. And Christine knows this because her new book is out, and you can get it here, and then it links to the website. And also, I have my parenting tip and top 5 books that you can have your middle schoolers read to you. None of them have to be yours. And you just sign up on the website, and you get that free list of 5 books that may happen to be Blydyn Square books. People buy them, they read them, you get excerpts out of them, you get that free tool, that free PDF, and they're probably going to buy the book. It was the buried lead of the publicity. Or, here's my book, can you interview me?
Right.
Move on. Nope, they're probably not even going to read past 1 sentence of the press release. But when you can provide, essentially, you're providing me content for my show. I need to fill 3 minutes, and I've got a huge parenting gap here, or I've got a huge whatever it is, budgeting. And then every week, stick with that core topic and find something in the news and see how your message can twist to that. I'm here in North Carolina, and it's sunny right now, as you can see behind me, but an hour and a half ago, people were in their basements because tornadoes were blowing through. So there's probably going to be some storm type damage, and power is going to be out. Here are 5. I'm an expert on how you can kill an evening by candlelight and not have your kids freak out because they don't have Netflix on their device. Well, let's get you an interview on the news tonight. And by the way, yes, we'll promote your book. There's my little spiel from the radio guy, interviewee, booking person side of it, that I really don't care about interviewing you because you're an author. Bluntly, sorry.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
My friend is reading this book, and he knows that some of it is true, and he's reading it, and he's like, you cannot publish this. he's like your family is going to hate you. They're going to disown you. And I'm like, a good amount of it is fiction, but a good amount of it is not. And so I think that, like, when this happens, if it ever happens, that it's very scary for me, to put myself out there locally, because they'll find out. My in-laws are 83 and they're major players in the book. So I don't know.
Well, maybe your family will be like mine. Mine like bought, like when my books all came out, my family, they all bought a copy, but did they read them? No,
Yeah, I don't
my
think you have
dad
to
was
worry
like,
about that.
so proud of you, but did he actually
Right.
read them?
Did they read it? Right. I know. I'm not good at publicity, but I'm getting better at, doing a few things like Tara's talked about with, being more of a presence on Facebook and doing things like that. And, there's like things like that I've done, but I am a teacher, like you were talking about, Pete, with the like interview piece and stuff. I am a teacher. I could have a few things to say on.
Yes, he was saying with that, I think you could definitely glean some stuff with
Yep.
what he was
Yeah.
saying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With your
Especially with
background.
your book, because your book has all kinds of stuff about like being in the sandwich generation, and has about a lot about the teenagers and teen pregnancy and teen drugs and suicide, and you've got stuff in there that you can
Right.
work with, and you've got time to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll figure it out though. We will. We're gonna work together. But yeah, we're getting our groove. We are figuring this stuff out. It's just been a long time coming. But I was just reading a book a few weeks ago, and it was talking about how most startup businesses die within the first 2 years, if not more. I think it was like 75%, and then like the most of all but like 2% are gone within like 10 years. We've already made it to 6.
Right.
And we're still, I mean, it's not easy, but we're going strong. And I feel like we're improving every time. So
And if you look, a fledgling publisher, you won an international writing award, right? You had a documentary about one of your books made. You got this film deal, and for a fledgling, that you run by yourself, that's pretty darn good.
of course that was all one book and in the first year, but hey,
Oh, then there was
that
another
far.
book. No, the second book, there was another book in there that the documentary was on.
Oh, that's true.
But,
That's a good point.
yeah.
That's right. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we're figuring it out. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's hard work though. It's not for the faint-hearted. That's for sure. I mean, it's tough out there, and it feels like it's getting harder every year in general, but I don't know. I feel like we're hanging in there, so I'm proud of us.
and I think, and I don't know who came up with this phrase, whether it was you or I, but we came up with this phrase, "Pass the breakers," and I think that's the thing. I think hopefully this book will get us. I don't think you're real until you're past the breakers, and I don't think whether what that means if you don't have $100,000 publicity budget, or you haven't been on a national show, or you haven't done anything. I think the real test of these books are going to be once we do get past the breakers, and it's inevitable now because it's going to happen, is what the impact is then. Because right now it's just a very loyal and tiny following. Funny, when the book first came out, and because I'd written a couple of nonfiction books in the 90s, but when the novel first came out, I sent it out, on social media, because I got on social media because Tara made me. I wasn't on this before. So I got on it, and you could tell people are going, "You wrote a book, okay? Yeah, you wrote a book." So they're reading the book, going, "Holy crap, this is actually not horrible." And I can tell you, so many people that read it, that you could tell were going, I saw everything. I knew what these people were. This was actually good. They were expecting it to be all right, let me read this, prove that this guy's a lunatic, and then I can just put it away. But a lot of that core crowd right now, those core followers, are people that thought that they were going to just read it and realize that, they realized that it was something of value.
I'll raise my hand because you just described to me.
Really?
You're not the first book trailer I did. I've narrated a dozen piles of crap on Audible. I mean, enter my name in Audible or on Amazon and listen to the 5-minute preview.
Right.
It's trash. But there are times you didn't send me the book. I didn't read the book before you sent the script. But you know what? You called me on the phone and like, okay, well, this might not be bad. And we agreed on whatever price. Sure, I'll record it for you. And I was interested because I told you early on, I didn't know if I had missed some news from 20 years ago. Like what
Right.
are these journals?
Right.
Like seriously, is this like a 48 hours or Dateline that was never done?
Right.
I need to figure this out. So I bought it, and it sat there for a minute, and we went on family vacation with the in-laws, and I always take a few books because the point of an in-law vacation is to not speak to them.
Right.
And we were in the eastern part of North Carolina at Lake Gaston and had a lake house, and I'm the cook. So I will socialize with them when I cook, and otherwise I'm going to sit on the deck and read. And that first social media post that I did was on that rental deck, holding up the book with the lake in the background saying, this is ingenious, because I just wanted, I thought, but I had never had that with anything that I narrated. I want to know about the product. I always do a little research if it's just a website or a product that I'm not endorsing, but voicing. But I trusted you, and it turns out it went from, oh, you wrote a book and you're willing to pay me to record a trailer,
Right.
to, wow, I'm engaged here. This is good.
Yeah.
So exactly what you described, I'm guilty.
Yeah. That means a lot. That means a lot. And there were a lot
Avoidance
of you out there.
Avoidance
Yeah.
of the in-laws, thanks to Everett De Morier.
I'll tell you what, Connie Barnes, who became one of our greatest champions and helped put together this all the events that we did for the documentary. Connie Barnes, I know she would never admit it, but I guarantee you she was the same way. She said, oh, because I used to work for her years ago.
Yeah.
That's sweet. And I own a bookstore, so I guess I've got to read it. And then she read it and she goes, when can you be here? When can you guys be here for a book signing? I know what she was doing. I knew exactly what she was doing. Yeah.
That was one of our best signings too, at her
Oh, yeah.
store. Yeah.
That was fun.
But Pete, speaking of, I mean, this is off topic, and I'll talk to you at a later time overall, but I just want to put it out there. We've been for years talking about doing audiobooks of our books. So if you do that sort of thing, if we could chat, maybe if we could price it in a way that we could afford, that we'd be interested in considering that, because I think that's the next step, is we need to create.
Right.
In fact, at work right now, they've got me in charge of creating accessibility guidelines for all of our written materials for people who are visually impaired or whatnot. And so it's in the forefront of my mind that I was like, you know what, our books are not accessible. So I just been thinking, like, that's definitely something that we've been talking about it for years, but maybe now that I'm working again and maybe have enough money to pay for something, maybe we could actually talk seriously about doing the major ones anyway,
Well, the ones that I've done are through ACX, acx.com, which is the production side of Audible. And there are thousands of titles on there every day. Most are porn. So you can filter out the adult material.
Nice.
And then that leaves me with about 300 or 400 titles. And it's been a while since I've auditioned, but literally some people will pay PFH, which is per finished hour. So if it takes me 82 hours to do it and we end up with a 3-hour finished product, it's still just, $50 for 3 hours per finished hour. But almost everything I've done and what most people do is revenue share through ACX. So I haven't recorded one in a year or two, and I still get a check every month from Audible. Because when it sells, then it's split between the author and me. So
That's incredible.
And that's the way most of the Audible operation works. The only problem is anybody can put up a PDF and turn it into an audiobook tonight. I mean, the first one I did, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. And I read an excerpt. Okay, it's not brilliant. And it was just like an 8-page term paper from this guy. Like, how did you even pass? But I committed to it, so I recorded it, and it still exists forever. But yeah, I mean, you can put up a script tonight and have it on well, self-publishing on Amazon, but yeah, with a publisher's permission. Obviously, you have permission, Tara. Yeah, look at ACX.
Yeah, I'll look that up. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, I will look it up and I will talk to you. That's definitely something that we've got to do next. That's our, I'm just trying to like keep us moving, and I feel like things are coming together. So, I feel like I had something. I had something that I can't remember now. Yeah, it flew out of my. That's what.
Didn't you say earlier, if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen? I
know, and look, I am writing stuff down, but I'm not writing it down fast enough and my pen is running out of ink. So, what can you do?
Well, I've heard a little bit about Christine's book. Carrie, tell me more about you. I feel like you're an observer there. I want to know more about you.
Well, I'm really getting a lot just out of listening to all of you. I mean, it sounds like there's so much. It's not just a matter of hard work. It's a matter of serendipity as well. Like timing is everything. I met Tara through a mutual friend.
My boss, actually, yes.
Connected me to Tara, Nancy. And Tara actually read my book. I've been sending it out for such a long time that I'd actually given up. And that's where I don't have, I don't have Everett, quite as much Everett's tenacity. Roller coaster, But I write fiction, and I've written 2.5 books. I started going back because of Tara has given me such spot on, perfect feedback that I've gone back to tweak my first book. So I currently have a character who is standing in a doorway and has been there for a month because that book is like kind of just hanging out now, waiting to be readdressed. But I write poetry, and I also I have frequent, incredibly vivid dreams, and I've been shaping them into, I guess, flash fiction, poetry, short flash fiction. And I just have a lot of fun with them. I keep a blog on WordPress, and I've been writing all of my life. And never really, when I was a kid, never really got the encouragement. It was kind of like, oh, that's nice, Carrie. Good work.
Yeah.
Never considered that something in the arts could be a viable career choice. So I've come back to it later in life through some incredible friends who have been so incredibly encouraging. They're my writing partners now. I meet with them twice a week through Zoom, and we all write together. It's a great discipline. It's great for my mental health and my emotional health. But basically, I'm writing fairy tales. I'm incredibly interested in folklore, have been forever. Joseph Campbell, Carl Jung, all these things, dreams. There's so much richness in all of it. And I'm writing new fairy tales.
Yeah, Carrie's book so like, when you first sent it to me, I think what you told me was it's slow, and I don't care that it's slow, basically. And I read it and I was like, yeah, it's a little slow, but it's beautiful too. And I think that's the thing we need to focus on. We can fix slow. But if you don't have beautiful too, then you're kind of out of luck. So yeah, so because I read it, I went in going with very low expectations. Like I was, I mean, I know what everybody means with you wrote a book. Like, that's okay, so like sweet. That's how you have to be when you're in my job, because, I get 300 of them, every 2 weeks, and I'll have to be like, oh, that's what I wanted. That's what it was. Thank you. It pulled me back to what I forgot about. we have our literary journal that we're getting ready to release we're going to do our first issue. I'm hoping for June. We put out our first call for submissions September 1st. We've had over 300 submissions and we've accepted 9 pieces so far. Just to let you know how bad they've been.
Oh dear. I thought this was something that was going to be happening more recently. I didn't know it had begun quite a while ago.
I thought it was going to happen in February. Well, we didn't have any. Even now, it's going to be short. The first issue is going to be short, and the submissions have dried up because, granted, I haven't put out another call in a while. But it's just what's going on out there, people. I mean, I was talking to somebody today, and I was saying, like, I feel like my call for submissions wasn't send us your work; it was send us the worst thing you ever wrote. Because that's what we're looking for. And it was great. Like you probably, Debbie, Everett's wife, Debbie is one of our acquisitions editors. And holy cow, you can't believe the stuff that we're getting. I mean, like, yes, most of the stuff we get on a regular basis, it's not for us. Mm-hmm. But I'd say it's only 50% horrifying and 50% okay, if not, under different circumstances, maybe if we had more time and more money, maybe we could develop some of them. This was obviously 9 out of 300, but I'm not good with math, but that's a very small percentage. Yeah, that's not good. And that's just for the first issue. We're supposed to be publishing quarterly. And we've got nada for the second issue. So this is my official call for submissions. If you, it's on our website. I should put it in. I don't think the chat shows up in the, I don't think the chat shows up in the thing. It's on our website under Blydyn Square Review. And if you know people who are looking or whatever, and it wasn't just that they were all bad. I mean, some of them were just not right for the thing, but it was just, it was not, it was, some of them were truly, like this one guy sent in like 25 poems and everyone was like more and more horrifying. I mean, it was like, you're just reading this going, oh my God, is he kidding? Is he kidding? They were so bad. And he sent them all separately. So I'm sending them like one by one to the 2 different editors because like I try to break up the work and they're both going, no, no. It was crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
what's funny is if you said, can you wire a house? No, I can't wire a house. Can you build a shed? No, I have no idea. Can you design a room? No, I have no idea. Can you write? Of course I can write. Can you sing? Absolutely I can sing. Can you act? Oh, absolutely. Are you funny? I'm hysterical. You don't have to do any training at all. You can just say, I'm a writer. I'm a comedian. I'm an actor. And it's just real easy because you don't need any credentials.
Yeah, there's the saddest stories or the saddest TV is the early stages of American Idol. When, because mom and dad tell me I can sing, my friends tell me I can sing,
and they're absolutely
grandma says I'm a great singer.
They're absolutely angry.
That person go on American Idol when they can't sing. I mean, it's just
don't know it. They don't know they can't sing. They believe they can
but
sing.
do their family and friends really tell them that they can? It's just
they love
horrible.
them. They love them.
It's also like an element of just getting on TV. Like some people will just do anything to be on television.
And I feel like that is like self-publishing in a nutshell. Like I feel like they'll just do anything to get their name on a book. I'm not saying everybody don't, no more with the attacks from the self-publishers. But most of them just want their book out there and they don't care if it's any good. They don't care if it's been edited. They don't care if it has any sort of plot or punctuation or anything. And there's a boom, there it is.
Right.
And they're on TV based, for all intents and purposes. And I feel like that's the thing. Like there's no question of quality or doing the work. And to me, that's the whole point, is doing the work.
Yep.
There's a whole, the spectrum ranges there from what Carrie just said, and it breaks my heart. One of the things that she said was she got a little pat on the back. Oh, good job. And it wasn't nurtured. And not to say that you were brilliant at age 8, but if somebody would have nurtured that thing, or without saying, oh my gosh, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, like some of these people on American Idol. There's an author, his name is John Acuff, and he wrote the book Start, he wrote the book Finish, and he's got another one coming out. But I remember hearing him say the only reason that he felt that he could be an author, and he failed many times, was in junior high. He had written a short story or a poem. I don't even know what it was, but his teacher bound it and laminated it. And he said that changed his life, that it made him feel like a writer. And I think we've probably all seen the meme going around social media that says, be the adult today that you wish would have been around when you were a kid.
Right.
And those little encouraging things can go so far that when you're, but when it goes too far, oh my gosh, you're the greatest singer in the world. You should be on American Idol. Sometimes falls flat.
And that's so easy too, especially with a lot of these people, and everybody does it. You hear what you want to hear. And if you are an insecure actor or and someone goes, let me sing a song. Oh, that was nice. You hear what you want to hear. And that nice is, oh my gosh, you've altered my life, because it's easy. It's just so easy.
You're making me think though of our mutual friend.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
We won't mention any names, but we have this person we know who thinks he's the greatest actor who has ever lived, and he will tell you he's starring in an upcoming episode of whatever, and you find and you go on like he's the extra who's walking by in the background. Like not credited, and that was just
number 7.
That ego, just a little bit.
He's not talented, and that's the saddest part. Is like, he thinks to be a dramatic actor, the way you show the drama and the intensity is by shouting. So basically, he had this whole clip video of all his great stuff, which by the way was all filmed by a friend of his. Like his buddy took a camcorder and so they weren't actually like published clips or anything, and he's just like screaming to the camera. Oh my god, it was crazy. There's a lot
of people out there like that,
I guess it is
because they think it's going to fix everything. And I think that's the part of it, is you think once I get my book, it's going to fix everything. And I did in the 90s. I thought I wrote 2 nonfiction books that were traditionally published in the 90s. I thought they were going to fix everything. You're going to be sorry you pushed me down the slide, Butchie Birmingham. You're going to get your own. You're going to be sorry you didn't go to the prom with me. It didn't fix anything. It didn't fix anything. And then I thought, well, I'm a crappy writer. That's why. But no, it was never meant to. And I never read anything from then. Well, I wrote some plays in between until Cecils, because I thought I'm a crappy writer, because any good writer, it should have changed my life.
I think you can't rely on anything. I mean, I think now we're kind of venturing into like philosophy and life ambitions and whatnot. But it's like you can't hope for anything to change your life that dramatically. It's got to come.
People do believe that. People do believe that it change everything.
Oh yeah, I still, there's a little voice in my head even now that even though I'm saying this and I know logically it makes no sense, saying this movie is going to change everything when it happens, and I know it's not true. I know it's not going to change
some things.
I mean, yes, things might be a little bit different, but it's not going to change anything. I mean, I'm still going to.
It expands opportunity, though.
Yes.
It opens up the doors.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think we put too much pressure on it, and then nothing changes because we have, you make it so that you expect everything to change, and then nothing changes because you weren't open to the possibilities.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
I've
just
always seen writing as a way to connect with people. It's like I know
Mhm.
that I know the books that have affected me profoundly at different points in my life. And that feeling of reading that book, you're like, oh, this is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
that's the feeling I want to be able to give to somebody.
Right.
I want to find those people, that dozen people. And
Yeah.
yeah, even
That's
if
a great way to
exactly,
describe it.
even if it's a dozen people, and to me, I'd be like so thrilled if a dozen people read something that I wrote because
and to share that that
yeah,
symbiotic feeling, like the give and take.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a great way of saying it. Because I mean, a real good book to me, I get depressed when it's over.
Yes.
I mean, I go through a depression and I'm upset because they're gone now. All these
Yeah.
people that I went through this thing with are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I hate that feeling.
Yeah. It's a
Like in
horrible feeling.
Casablanca when Ilsa goes off with her husband instead of Rick.
Right. Yeah,
What do
it's
you mean?
horrible. And what's funny is sometimes I'll reread a book or watch a movie that I've seen 600 times, and I know that the car goes off the cliff right here, but part of me goes, maybe it swerved this time. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this part of the he's gonna swerve, and he doesn't. He never swerves.
I read books over, like I reread books a lot, and I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, I realized a lot of the times when I read them again that it wasn't so much reading them that really got to me, and it was I want to feel what I was feeling when I read it the last time,
Right.
whether it had
Yeah.
anything to do with the book itself or not, because sometimes I'll
Right.
reread a book that I thought I loved, and it's just
Yeah.
so the second time around, and I realized it wasn't the book necessarily that I loved, it was what was going on around me at the time, and the book was just a symbol of that, which is really sad, because
Yeah.
there are books I hated that I reread and I love them now, and I realize it has nothing to do with the book. Sometimes it's just about what's going on around you. So it's really hard to separate like what you love about the book and what you love about just what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary.
Sometimes
insight.
rereading one also, you read them at different times of your life and it takes on different layers of meaning. There are a couple that I have that I go back and I read it like every 8 to 12 years and get something different out of it because your
Right.
perspective, the arc of our lives changes.
Right.
And we have different perspective as we accumulate time.
I did not mean to monopolize so much time tonight. Everett, congratulations. I do have to step off here.
Thanks for being here, Pete. It meant a lot.
I'll let you get back into what you were supposed to be doing at 5 o'clock. But to you, my friend, cheers. And I can't wait for whatever's next.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you're here.
Nice to see all of you. Bye.
Thank you for
Thanks,
coming.
Pete.
Gotta go too, guys. So it was nice seeing you. I'm tired. It's been a
I
long
know
day.
my eyes are like
It's been a long day. All right,
Who
take
makes
care.
you look less tired than you are, like less baggy under the eyes and
Right.
stuff than you are, which is a good thing, I guess. But
Take care.
all right.
Yeah,
Have a
it's
good
nice-
evening. I'll
Thank
talk
you
to
so
soon.
much.
Thank you guys for coming.
No problem.
All right. And
later.
congratulations, Everett.
Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you. And
All
thank
right.
you, Carrie.
Bye-bye.
See you, Carrie.
Bye-bye.